Welcome to The Funnel. My name is John Shea, and I'm president of Alignment Group. This is episode number 252 of The Funnel. How important is product knowledge? Before we begin, I want to remind you to head on over to alignment-group.com/The Funnel. Subscribe, and we will send you the weekly show notes. All new subscribers qualify for a free 30-minute coaching call. So when you subscribe, the thank you page opens up, and there's a link to my calendar. Feel free to schedule your free 30-minute coaching call. Today's agenda: product knowledge, the fit, competitors, marketplace, and the sales team. Now, this isn't going to be a particularly long podcast, but I think it's an important one. The last couple of months, I've had some discussions with companies and managers and salespeople about product knowledge and where it fits into sort of their overall strategy and plan. And I thought maybe putting a podcast together would help. So let's start with the first item on our agenda, and that's product knowledge. Most of the time when people hear product knowledge, they're thinking about just spitting out all of these details about the products and services that they're selling. And sometimes they feel like that kind of stuff is a little bit overwhelming or unimportant. We don't need to know all these facts to sell our product, et cetera, et cetera. I'd say when you talk about product knowledge, you need to kind of widen your view a little bit and understand that it's more than just having facts and figures in your head. It's understanding a number of things. And first and foremost, it's your product. Understanding where it benefits the prospect and how it helps them. More importantly, the strengths and weaknesses of your product. I wouldn't say more importantly, but in many cases it can be. Where the customer pain points are and where the needs are for your prospects. But as far as understanding the product goes, I think you need to sort of think about this from a perspective of something you do as a hobby. Okay, so I do a lot of different things, but I fish. And I have a really good understanding of how a fishing rod works and the specific types of line that I have to use. For example, if I'm flounder fishing off the surf versus fishing for a larger type fish like a striped bass. So what kind of rod do I need for that? What kind of line am I going to use, and bait and gear, tackle? So I know enough to be good at what I do and catch a reasonable amount of fish. And when I go into a store and I purchase product, my expectation is that that sales rep understands that product enough that I can give them my specific situation and they can bring back to me something that fits what I'm trying to do. So if I'm fishing for flounder and they bring me a freshwater rod and reel set up, this is a ridiculous premise, but if they do that, it's not going to work and I'm not going to be happy. So they have to understand their products and services and think about how you operate. How much do you know about the hobbies that you have and the things that you enjoy doing? That, maybe slightly more than that, is the depth of knowledge that a sales rep should have on their product. So let's talk about the fit. The fit is how your product fits with a specific client or prospect. You have to figure out their needs and then match your product, right? That's pretty simple. But here's the rub. If you don't know your product, how do you know what types of questions to ask? How do you know how to ask customers the types of questions that are going to drive the answers to help you understand if your product fits their specific need? Obviously, pre-call planning is important. You want to know about the prospect. You want to know who they are, what they do as a company, where the potential problems could be. Take a lot of notes. Next, you need to figure out your line of questioning. You start the conversation. And you might ask questions, deeper questions that are related to product without talking about product, because you're trying to get an understanding of what it is that they need help with. And then when all that's done, What are you expected to do? You're expected to demonstrate to them that you understand their problem, you understand your product, and you can provide proof on how it fits their need. So it's kind of bigger picture stuff, right? It's a little bit more than just asking a few questions. Now, I think what you do see quite often is sales reps jumping into product early on in the sales cycle. And when you see that, that's more of a fallback position because it's easy to have that conversation. It's not easy to uncover the need and bring the puzzle together. What about competitors? Where do they fit into product knowledge? Well, I think competitors are a very important part of that process. If you know who your competitors are, right? You know who they are. The companies that you're competing with on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Now, there may be thousands of them depending on your product mix. And I'm not saying you need to know every competitor inside and out, but you should know the main competitors you're dealing with, the ones that you see all the time when you're working with prospects. Who are they? What are their strengths? What works on their product? What works well on their product? What are the weaknesses of their product against yours and against how it fits with the customer? How do they attack you? Are they price driven? So they know you're a value company and you sell at a little higher price so that they come in with the quote unquote special of the month? Are they pushing the envelope on that? I know in a previous lifetime, I was selling products and services that were always higher than everybody else. So we had to sell value of service. And I knew the competitors that really went after price. I knew exactly what they were going to do and how they were going to do it. And I could tell people before they did it. So I understood the competitors. We understood the competitors. And that helped quite a bit. And I'm not just talking about how they operate with pricing. I'm talking about their product. What does their product do well? Where are the weaknesses in their product? What are they going to avoid in that meeting? And what are they going to press on? So don't think about it just as understanding their pricing strategy. This is really about how their product works. So I have a friend that sells specific product, and he knows the ins and outs of his product like no one I've ever met. Understands the strengths, can demonstrate that strengths, but more importantly, understands the competitors and their strengths and their weaknesses and how they attack him. So he can counterattack before they even get out of bed in the morning. And it helps win a lot of business. What about the marketplace? How does that fit into this? Well, when it comes to product knowledge, there's like these different buckets we get information out of, right? If we're a reseller of products, the manufacturer provides us with brochures and information and all this great stuff, and you can talk about it in detail based on their messaging. Then you have the second bucket, which is the stuff that comes from your marketing engine on your products and services and how it fits in the marketplace and things you can talk about related to the prospect need. I mean, those are the two biggest buckets. And then, of course, from a sales perspective, how you've been trained and developed and what your manager pushes and the other salespeople in terms of the product mix. And sometimes these three things aren't on the same page. So you need to get with marketing. You need to understand the company's messaging. What is the company trying to project here? What does the ideal prospect look like for sales? And in marketing, they call that the persona. What does that look like? And how does pricing fit into all that? So where are we trying to market? Are we trying to market to our strengths? Obviously we are. What are we trying to push on a specific product or service? We need to make sure our product knowledge matches how the company's marketing it. We're going to run into some problems there. All right, let's talk about the sales team and what that means for you and what you should do to attack this. My guess is you're somewhere in the middle with your product knowledge because most people are. You have some reps who rely heavily on their product knowledge because that's how they sell. They start the conversation with product and they just ram right through it. My response to that is you need to do some development with them to get them to the point where they're doing some pre-call research. They're having real quality conversations with their prospects or customers, and they're trying to understand the need and presenting the product as it fits that need. And you'll find that from a pricing perspective, they'll do well. For those that don't have any product knowledge and there are some that are selling a lot for your company, my expectation would be to expand that. The more they know about the product, the better they're going to sell and the more they're going to sell. I don't care if they're at the top, they can sell more. So my plan would be to expand product training. And what I would do is bring in, a lot of times they have these manufacturers that come in and providers. They have people that do that. That's fine. They can give you the feeds and speeds and the specs and all that good stuff. But where you're really going to make progress and move forward is the role playing. The role playing based on product knowledge. The role playing based on real life deals. So it's not hard to sit down with your team and individually each rep come up with a deal that they've worked with and walk through the fit, the need. And if you need to bring in some folks from the company that have supported the deal once it's been in place and talked about the end result, you should do that. You get a well-rounded understanding of why they went with you. And of course, we know relationship and there's all these other things, but we're really focusing this on product knowledge, on your ability to understand your product and your team's ability to understand your product. And you do some specific role plays, you'll find that their knowledge expands, the opportunities will expand, and getting past that first conversation into deeper conversations will help you close more business. Now, this isn't the cool topic to talk about, product knowledge, but I think it's very, very important, and it needs to be at the top of what you talk about. This is something you can own right away. You don't have to wait for somebody to send you away to class or buy something for you. This is something you can work on your own as an individual rep, as an individual manager, or as a team. You can make progress in a very short amount of time on product knowledge. It doesn't require a lot of heavy lifting. But I'd say once you kind of get that ball rolling, then I build it into my onboarding program and make sure that anybody that comes into my company understands their product. And as always, with any training and development, it's ongoing. It's a requirement, right, for your job. Again, I'll make this analogy. Would you go with a lawyer that hasn't had any updates on the law in the last 20 years, hasn't been any training or development? How about a heart surgeon? Would you do that? Most would say no. I couldn't blame you. I couldn't blame you at all. Okay. Thank you for subscribing. Alignment-group.com/thefunnel. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter @ShayJohnR, and of course, I'm on LinkedIn. You can contact me, jshay at alignment-group.com, or find me at alignment-group.com is my website. As always, thank you for subscribing and keep filling the funnel.